I came from a school in New York. It was a community college, but it did have a flight school. I was the only female in the whole class. So when I came to Purdue, there was like this group of women who were participating in a race, and that was the first club that I actually saw when I came to Purdue, and I'm like, this is something I'd be interested in.
My first day in flight, then my instructor tells me, hey, so there's an air race club. I don't know how interested you are. Would you like to check it out? And then I met both of them there, and we had a tiny group. I was like, this is fun. We are doing air race stuff as well as like making friends, and it all seemed really fun, planning legs, and then you're like, oh, once everyone might get a chance to fly. So that got me into it. Yeah.
I really like to read, and I actually read this book called Fly Girls that was all about the history of like the Women's Air Race Classic, which was so cool. And then I found out that we had a club that flew in it. So I was like, oh my goodness, I would love to do that. I mean, airplanes, racing, it just as a whole seemed really cool. And similar story to them, I joined the club. It was really small, it was really intimate, everyone was really nice. So I definitely ended up staying for the people, but also the race is really cool. I'm most excited to just meet everyone. There are so many amazing and inspiring women who are flying in this race. And just from like a networking perspective, I mean, I don't know that many women in aviation aside from those at the university. So I'm definitely most excited to just meet everyone else who's passionate about the same things and has experiences that I hope I can also have someday.
The preparation was pretty hard, the hardest part, I'd say. When I first started out, I was like, oh, this will be fun and easy. Then it actually came to coordinating with the air race people and coordinating with the school, and I was like, this wasn't what I signed up for, but it was a good process. You get to at least meet the people you're going to meet out there. You talk to some school administrators that you've never seen before or talked to before, which is interesting, I think. And for the actual race, we coordinated with the club. They help us with planning and getting information about airports. So we have some airspaces that we can fly through them, but we really don't want to. So what the club does, they checked the distance, what airspace the certain airport is at along the way, and that helps us know like which areas to avoid and what altitudes we'll need to fly at to avoid those areas. So it's more of a community thing. So having all of them really helped us make it easier.
Over the last 2 semesters, fall and spring, the ground crew team, we all like planned over the legs, like what weather, how the winds are looking at for each altitude and stuff. So we have a chart and which altitude are we planning to go at, what time to go at. So right now we'll use the actual weather and tell them what altitude you should go at, and be like, oh, right now don't go there, just maybe go at 3,000 feet, don't go at 6,000. So all that stuff. I think for all of us, it's our first time after 2 years.
Yeah.
None of us have any experience doing this, so it's going to be a first time for everything.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to it. Maybe a bit nervous, but we're still looking forward.
It's kind of both of a challenge and an excitement, because it's your first time. You're like, oh, I don't want to do anything wrong or like have any penalties, but also being excited that, oh, I'm here with all these big guns, you know. There's people who have been doing this for years over there, and we are going there like, oh, we are first timers, what do we do now?
So as a whole, for our entire club, it's brought us a lot closer together, especially because like leg planning, looking at the weather isn't always the most exciting thing in the world, but we have to do it in order to be successful. So it's really taught us a lot about the importance of teamwork and having like a one-person, like no one-person teams, anything like that. At least in our flying experience so far, it's mostly been single pilot operations. So like we're the student or we're the instructor. Only one person is flying. But this is a really fast-paced, high-stress environment. So Charity and I, Ankita and I, we've already talked about like delegating responsibilities. Like, hey, just because one person's flying doesn't mean someone else can't run checklists or take care of radios. So this is going to be one of our first like real-world experiences of implementing that multi-crew environment and those types of tactics. Mostly, we'd just like to finish. We'd like to minimize the number of penalties we get. We obviously don't want to get disqualified for anything because there's quite a few things you can get disqualified for that are like seemingly simple in the moment. So we're just hoping to finish with the best time that we can and also use it as learning experience for future years since, again, we're all new at this. We want to be able to use this data, this experience, to help the club in the future. Yeah, because with all of the like flight tracking software for like the race itself, we can also transfer that data to our own machines. So we probably we'll have a club meeting where we debrief and be like, all right, here's the altitude you guys picked, here's the altitude or the timing that you planned, here's how long it actually took us, can we figure out why the times were different, why they were similar, and here's how we move forward, stuff like that.
So the aircraft that will be flying for the air race is the Piper Archer TX. It has the autopilot, glass cockpits, and it's pretty new. It's a 2021 aircraft, so.
I mean, we're a completely glass cockpit, so we've got big old G1000 and electric standby, which basically what that means is instead of having little steam gauges, kind of like how you'd see in older cars, it shows us everything on a visual display, our airspeed, our altitude as a numerical format. So it's so much easier to stay precise because all of that information is just almost thrown in your face on that screen. So as opposed to a lot of older aircraft, that'll make our jobs a lot easier. We also have autopilot, so that won't hurt. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, it's also just a great training aircraft. So it's sturdy, it's safe, and we're really ready to make it go fast.